Hey guys, this video is for Ryan. He hit me up on Facebook about tightening Gibs and how to get the Gibs set correctly. And I started typing up this, practically a letter explaining my process. And I thought, you know what, I'll just make a video real quick. So happy to do it. Ryan, hopefully this helps. I'm going to tell you how I mechanically actually set my Gibs, and then I'm going to talk about why I do it the way I do it. There's a lot of information on like CNC Zone, or at least, there is, because I know there was when I was doing research back in the day, a few years ago. The methods that people were using and explaining online, they didn't work for me. I tried to do it by the numbers and it just didn't work. I could never get it to work correctly. So for my machine, and yours is, if you have this mill, yours is probably going to behave differently than mine is. My Y and my Z, I can get them as tight as I want, and they run great. My X, I have all kinds of problems with, and so that's the one I've had to mess around with quite a bit. The main problem was actually detailed in an entire series of videos I did called Weird Table Wobble, where I tore the machine apart trying to figure out what was causing issues and never solved the problem, I don't think. I know what caused it now, and I'll explain it to you in a minute. So when it comes to actually setting the Gibs, this is what I do. I install my Gib, I install the right-hand screw, this is for the X. I get the right-hand screw tight enough that it feels like the Gib is, nice and secure. And then I put in the left-hand screw and I run it down till it just touches the Gib, and then maybe like an eighth of a turn or a quarter of a turn more. You want it very lightly pushing on the Gib. If you push too hard on the left, you're going to bow the Gib, and it's going to cause you all kinds of problems, and predictability is going to go right out the window. Then I'll run some tests, jog it back and forth, make sure everything's lubed. And if everything's okay, then I'll back out the left screw maybe a full turn. I'll turn in this screw a half a turn. Okay, so that's going to push the Gib in. And then now that I've backed this one out, I'll bring it in nice and slow till I get just that, little bit of pressure on it that I want to feel. And then I'll do my test again, back this one out a full turn, half a turn over here, then bring this one back up till I get that, you kind of get a feel for it. And I keep doing that until I got it where I want. Now, the same thing with the Y, and I believe on the Y, let's see, is it the... doesn't the Gib go in from the back? I can't remember which one is the pusher and which one's the lock. So on this one, the left one is the lock. This one is, I consider this one the pusher because this is where you put the Gib in. So you do the same thing on the Y. You'd put one screw in, push the Gib in. If it's the bottom one, run that up until it locks and you get a little bit of pressure, run tests, back this one out, tighten half turn, whatever. So the problem is, when I get down to where I like the machine and I'm not binding up all over the place, I am losing about 2 inches of travel out here on the end. And it's a problem, and I've just learned to deal with it. I know I'm not going to have travel out here. Now, if I knew how to scrape, I could probably take it apart and have the table and scrape the table in, or take it somewhere and have it scraped or ground or whatever it is people need to do to get dovetails perfect. But I don't want to spend the money, and I don't know how to do it myself, so I just deal with losing a couple inches of travel down here. It's frustrating, but it's what it is. So the weird table wobble was a result of running my Gib so loose that when I would jog the x-axis, the table, this is exaggerated, the table would go like this, and it would walk its way down. And I thought it was a bent lead screw whipping back and forth, and so I had torn the whole thing down and done all this, testing and, shimmed the screw and tried to get everything perfectly aligned. And I put it all back together, and the problem was somewhat fixed, but I didn't know why. And now I know it's because of that Gib. Mine has a tendency to vibrate loose, so I do have to tighten it up every once in a while. When I say every once in a while, it's probably like after 100 hours of machining. I mean, I'm not really sure what the expectation is, but I don't run this thing every day. In fact, you guys know the video content has been kind of slow going. I don't get down in the shop that often lately. Anyway, once I got everything tightened up enough, that walking kind of went away, and then I lost this travel. So it is what it is. Let me show you real fast what that walking causes. So this was clamped with, in the x-axis, you can see these vertical lines, and that's the kind of finish. If you're getting a finish like this, your table may be wobbling. I mean, or you have really bad run out. Now you'll notice when we come over here to what would have been in the Y, it's still there, but it's much less pronounced. There is one line right there I can feel. Then back over here on the X, much worse. Over here on the Y, not quite as bad. So that means this was clamped either like this or like this. And yeah, that basically took care of that problem. I don't have that issue anymore. That was something I machined a while ago. Now, once you've got everything where you want it, if this panel were missing, and I'm not going to take it off because it's a bit of a hassle, and we were looking at where the table is actually touching the saddle and where the saddle is touching the base, if we come out here and do this, you're going to notice some movement. And I've measured mine before. If I took this off, I could measure the saddle right now, and I think there's 1 to 2 thou in the saddle. It's pretty tight. If we come clear out here, I'm not going to zoom in on this indicator. Maybe you can see it. I think you'll be able to see the needle move at least. I can push and move it about 7 thou, and I can pull and move it 3 thou the other direction. So I've got about 10 thou wobble right here. Now you might be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, how can you run a machine like that? Well, it works. And frankly, when are you ever putting this kind of torque on your machine? You got to remember, all your torque's coming down from the spindle. So I never use cutters bigger than 3-inch. I have some 1/2-inch cutters, but my machine doesn't like them. Probably because I've always bought cheapos. But, you know, a 1/4-inch end mill cannot apply the kind of torque that I can apply out here leaning on this. So this is not an issue for me. If you're seeing this and it's freaking you out, frankly, it's probably not an issue for you either. If my table were in better shape and I didn't have all the binding issues, I would tighten it down and this would go away to some degree, but it would never go to 0. Even when the table's jogged all the way over, you still have to remember the torque is coming from here. It's not coming from this corner of the table. You know, if it was jogged all the way over here and I grabbed this and put the indicator out here, hanging way out, I'd be able to move it even, you know, way more. So just something to kind of think about. Lastly, I want to touch on whey oil, and I've been using the Vactra oil number 2 for quite a while. You can get this on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. I think that's where I got it, or eBay. I buy it in quarts because, frankly, I don't go through very much oil. I don't have a one-shot oiler. While I think those are awesome and the lubrication distribution systems are freaking sweet, I've just never cared enough to to do it myself. So I have these little Harbor Freight squirt cans. They make 2 sizes. The bigger one has a seam in the can. Don't get that one. I literally shoot oil on my hands and I reach under there and I rub the ways and the dovetail and I reach over and do the same thing. I do it on both sides. Lower the Z, put a shot at the top corners and let the oil run down. Then I run the head up and down a few times. And then on the Y I can get, I can get under here on the front and back. But frankly, I don't oil my machine all that much. It just doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, that means I'm probably wearing it out faster. This machine's probably never going to... I'll probably never put enough hours on this that I'm worried about wearing it out. It's just, it's not something I'm concerned about. So one other thing, this oil right here, Schaefer's Moly EP. This is a extreme high pressure oil. It's meant as an engine oil treatment. I've talked about it in other videos. I use it underneath the vise to stop rust. High pressure oil means that when you squeeze it between 2 surfaces, it won't squeeze out. It'll actually stay in there, which seems weird that can happen, but it does. You can see how thick it is. So I use this as whey oil, and I did some tests with it. I could run my X-axis Gib as tight as I could physically turn a screwdriver, and 0 binding, none. It was amazing. I ran it like that for a couple of months, actually, and when I disassembled the mill to inspect afterwards, I could tell that it had actually started to wear into the scrape marks, the flaking. So I definitely had it way too tight. I'm not sure how it can wear the metal and still lubricate to the point of no binding, but that was my experience. The reason why I stopped using it actually was because of stiction, and if you haven't had sticky friction before, stiction is when the oil won't allow something to move. And because this is not a high precision machine, you know, I would jog in 1 thou increments, and an indicator would pick up no movement. And then I would get up to like 5 or 6 thou, and suddenly it would move 2 or 3. And then I'd jog up to like, you know, 1 at a time. I'd jog it all the way up to like 10, and then suddenly it would move 5. And that was a combination of stiction and the Gibs being way too tight. So yeah, lesson learned there. Don't use this as whey oil. Stick with the Vactra. I'm positive there are people who have an opinion about other whey oils, Vactra #1, or I don't know. What if you guys have something you like? Stick it down in the comments. In fact, if you have a awesome, you know, process for setting Gibs, stick that in the comment as well, the comment section. I'm sure Ryan will appreciate it. I think that's it. Hopefully that helped, and if you have any more questions, let me know. If you guys want me to do a video about some kind of topic, hit me up on Instagram and YouTube are the best. I'm on Facebook, but I have a tendency to forget to check it. I do have alerts set up, so when you send me a message on Facebook, I will get the alert, and then I'll probably forget about it, and then like 3 months later, I'll discover it. So, sorry about that, Ryan. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.